All right, let's dive into something that so many of us wrestle with. It's that deep, nagging frustration you feel when you're trying your absolute best to be more godly, but you just keep feeling like you're failing. I mean, does this sound familiar at all? You make a decision, right? Today's the day I'm going to be more patient with the kids, or more loving to that person at work who drives me crazy. You really mean it. You give it everything you've got, and then, a day later, maybe even an hour later, you're right back where you started. It is just exhausting, isn't it?
And here it is. This is the core of the problem, the truth that could unlock everything. You're trying to produce a supernatural result, actual godliness, using completely natural tools. Your own willpower, your gritting your teeth effort. It's like trying to power a rocket ship with AA batteries. It's never going to work.
And let's be honest, the advice we usually get from well-meaning people, it often makes things worse. Just try harder, they say, but you're already trying as hard as you can. Just be more like Jesus. Okay, but how? That kind of advice just piles all the pressure right back onto you, and it just leads to this cycle of more failure and more guilt.
This right here, this is the paradigm shift. This is the whole game changer. The goal is absolutely to live and love like Him. But God never, ever intended for you to pull that off on your own. He didn't just hand you a rule book and say, all right, good luck with that. The invitation was always, and still is, to do it with Him. So this really gets us to the heart of the conflict, the thing that trips so many of us up. It's the huge difference between having the form of godliness and actually walking in the power of godliness. And, on the outside, they can look almost identical, but under the hood, they are worlds apart. Okay, let's break this down, because the difference here is so important, but it's subtle. On one side, you've got the form. This is all about knowing the right stuff and trying really, really hard. You know the right thing to do. You can say all the right Christian things. You try your best to love people. But then you look at the power side. This is totally different. It's not about trying. It's about ability. You don't just know what's right. You're actually empowered to do it. Your words don't just sound nice. They carry real spiritual weight. And you don't just try to love. A supernatural love actually flows through you, even when your feelings aren't there. And hey, this isn't some new idea we just came up with. The Apostle Paul warned his protege Timothy about this exact problem. He literally describes people who look the part, They go through all the religious motions, they have the right form, but deep down they've disconnected from the very power source that makes any of it real. And this just nails the feeling, doesn't it? When you're living in that gap between knowing what you're supposed to do and being totally unable to actually do it, the result is just this constant, soul-crushing frustration. It's that feeling of being stuck in spiritual mud, just spinning your wheels and going absolutely nowhere. Okay, I know this whole power concept can sound a little abstract. So let's make it super concrete. Let's look at a story where Jesus is in this impossible, high-stakes situation where any normal human response would have been a complete and utter failure. So try to picture this scene. A woman gets dragged out and thrown down at Jesus' feet. You've got a whole mob there holding rocks, ready to execute her. And technically, they have the law of Moses on their side. I mean, Jesus is completely boxed in here. If he chooses only kindness and says, it's okay, you can go, he's basically ignoring the law and condoning sin. But if he chooses only justice and says, go ahead, stone her, a woman dies. Neither of those is a good outcome. And what does he do? After a moment of just doodling in the dirt, he stands up. He doesn't give them a complex theological lecture. He just says one simple, devastatingly powerful sentence. He basically holds up a giant mirror to every single person in that crowd. Now really think about that for a second. Why did that work? These were angry, self-righteous men on a mission. You think a clever one-liner was going to stop them? No way. It's because his words weren't just words. They were carrying something else. They were carrying the power of God. And that power just instantly brought conviction, shut down their rage, and dismantled all their hypocrisy on the spot. And here is the absolute punchline of that whole story. You can have all the right information. You can quote all the right verses, have all the right answers, and see zero change in your life or anyone else's. Real, lasting transformation doesn't come from just knowing the truth. It comes when that truth is delivered with the power of the Holy Spirit.
All right, so if trying harder on our own is a dead end and the real key is this power we're talking about, the next logical question is, great, how do I get it, right? Well, here's the twist. It's not about trying harder to get the power. It's about a complete shift in how we approach this whole thing.
It really boils down to three huge shifts. First, we've got to get on the same page as God. Our goal needs to become true righteousness, being made right with Him and like Him, not just making ourselves or other people feel good. Second, we have to pursue love above all else. We chase God's heart, not power, not spiritual gifts for their own sake. The power is a byproduct of that pursuit. And third, this isn't passive. We have to activate this relationship through a conscious daily dependence on God, prayer, communion, actually listening for the Holy Spirit. And this is so important to get. God is more than willing, He's eager to supply all the supernatural power we need. But it's for His projects, not ours. It's like He's got this high-octane fuel pump, but the nozzle only fits His vehicles. The moment we get in His car and start heading in His direction, we've got unlimited fuel. Okay, now we got to put up a big warning sign here. This is critical, because wherever you find something real and powerful, you can bet there's going to be a cheap knockoff, a counterfeit, and this one is one of the most deceptive traps anyone can fall into. I mean, this has to be one of the most chilling things Jesus ever said. He describes people showing up on Judgment Day with this incredible spiritual resume. Look at all the amazing miracles we did for you. And His response is just, I never knew you. That should send a shiver down our spines. It proves that it is entirely possible to do all the right stuff and still miss the entire point. So what is this counterfeit power? Simply put, it's the ability to get results, to look spiritual, to sound wise, maybe even do some impressive things. But it's all completely disconnected from true righteousness and, most importantly, from a genuine intimate relationship with God. It's performance without presence. It's the form of godliness in its most dangerous disguise.
So, how do we avoid that trap? How do we step into the real thing? Well, it all comes down to one fundamental shift in our entire way of thinking. We have to move away from a life of trying and into a life of trusting.
This is the call to action, the invitation for every one of us. It's time to stop. Stop the exhausting cycle of trying to be good enough in your own strength. Let go of the performance. Just lay down the heavy burden of trying to manufacture a supernatural life with natural effort. It's a dead-end street. And that brings us right back to where we started, with this incredibly liberating truth. God is not asking you to be a perfect imitation of Jesus through your own hard work. The goal is so much better than that. It's to be so connected to Him, so dependent on His Spirit, that His life just naturally flows through you. It's not about imitation. It's about inhabitation. So that leaves us with one last question, and it's a question that only you can answer. As you look at your own life, your own struggles, your own faith, what are you going to choose today? Are you going to keep performing? Keep trying to muscle through it on your own? Or are you ready to surrender, to connect, and to finally walk in the real power that's been freely available to you all along? The choice is yours.